In Egypt, boxing is almost a century old. Yet since it was introduced in 1923, Egypt has only won 5 Olympic medals. Lately, the Egyptian Boxing Federation has been taking steps to lift up the skills of its players.
The Boxing Federation and the Egyptian Armed Forces have hired 2 Cuban boxing experts. Both of them have created a strong base of players. They've created a new school of Egyptian boxing. Players have learnt a better quality of boxing. They've developed their mindset in the sport. Egyptians are now getting close to the Cubans, which is the #1 country in the world in boxing.
That shift was apparent in the last Arab Junior Championships. Each player in the Egyptian national junior team won a gold medal in the competition. With that recent success, the National Federation believes that Egypt may be able to win medals in the Olympics once again.
Most of our big players have retired from boxing for many reasons. There's a huge development going on with the juniors. In addition, there's a wave of popularity for boxing spreading in Egypt. We see private clubs and academies adopting the sport. Boxing is now like gym. It's like aerobics. It's becoming a lifestyle.
There is an awakening in Egyptian boxing. An entire new system has been established to create stronger players with international experience. While that's a fortunate opportunity for the juniors, it may be a bit late for the seniors. Hossam Bakr has been Egypt's champion from 1996 until 2017 in all weight categories he played in. His best in the World Boxing Championships was the bronze medal in 2015. But few months ago, Bakr has quit playing for the Egyptian national team. He left to the United States, hoping to get the citizenship and join Team America.
I don't advise any child to play boxing in Egypt. I have won medals in all existing championships, with the exception of the Olympics, and even if I had won one in Egypt, it won't matter. America is now rewarding me for my boxing accomplishments, and it's not me alone. This is a situation with all players in individual sports.
Bakr is married and with 3 children. He says that all what he wished for was a monthly salary less than $300 from the federation to support his family.
I wanted a job in boxing in the club of my hometown. That was not an option for a boxing champion. My whole life since 1994 was devoted to boxing. I don't understand anything in life except boxing. I can't work in any other field. There was no clear vision for my future. If we get a similar injury to a football player, the attention and treatment would be.
Egypt may have brought up a stronger boxing generation, but what future will these young boxers have if they are not well compensated or if boxing remains a neglected sport? Adel El Mahrouky, CGTN, Cairo.
Right now, for more on this topic, as we continue to discuss boxing on the continent, I'm now joined by Abdul Nasser Semugabi, live in Kampala, Uganda. He's a boxing writer and journalist. Now, Abdul Nasser, we obviously saw teams like South Africa, Uganda, Kenya, and Nigeria send boxers to the Commonwealth Games from Africa, but the results weren't as impressive as maybe expected. What would you say is the problem and what needs to be done?
Good evening. Basically, the problem with African boxing is the lack of structures and exposure in international tournaments. Because I remember most of the boxers who have been around and have been pressed in Africa and on all those tournaments, Commonwealth, World Championship and the Olympics, have at least had an experience with other boxers across all continents. You take an example of Africa, of Africa playing in the FESCABA, that is Federation for East and South Africa, Central and East Africa. So you get a feeling that with the death of such tournaments, African boxers will not have enough action in the ring before they are tested in even bigger stages like the Commonwealth and the World Championships. You think about the European tours where Africans, Ugandans, Kenyans, etc. used to go and box in Germany, Poland, Sweden, etc. But nowadays such tournaments do not come for African boxers. Think about the King's Cup, the famous King's Cup in Thailand. You would see a convergence of boxers across the globe. But nowadays, you don't see African boxers going to such tournaments. So by the time they reach the Commonwealth or the Olympics or the World Championships, maybe it's their international debut and they are very, very raw. They cannot compete.
Now, Abdul Nasser, obviously you did mention boxers from the past. Many boxing aficionados would probably remember the big names from the 80s, the 90s. How would you rate the status of boxing in Africa now as compared to those that came in the past?
If we are to gauge Africa against the whole world, I think what used to be a powerhouse in boxing is now something like we are a joke. African boxing is a joke nowadays. Because if you are to diagnose this crisis, it began in about 2000 or 2004 basically, when there was even a debate over whether there is a crisis in African boxing or not. And very many views flew in all over on different media stations, and they were asking, how come that Africa, which used to be a crowd of very many world boxing champions, the likes of Iki Kwati, the likes of Dick Tiger of Nigeria, etc. By 2004, Africa only had one world champion, and that was Kassim Ouma of Uganda. So there was a big question, how come Africa only has one? What has gone wrong? But everything has gone wrong. Lack of structures, lack of equipment, poor administration, and etc.
And finally, I suppose the future does lie with the youth. Do we have the proper development programs that would excite youngsters maybe to take up the sport in the future?
Not really, because if you're talking about structures and programs that would enhance young talent, I think we are really lagging behind. Because take an example of Uganda. We are preparing boxers for the next Africa Youth Championships in Morocco, but these are boxers who have never been to any tournament since the late 2016. They are as raw as they come. They are ill-prepared. They have only had hardly a month for preparations. Basically, they are not in shape. And if a coach himself admits that these boxers need much more to get to a competitive level, then you know that it is really a big crisis. And if you ask any medals from them, it will be very unfair on them. I think we need to build clubs. We need to find a way of strengthening the clubs where a club can give the boxer the best training at all stages. A novice is never trained as a national boxer, and then a national boxer is never trained as one who has been to the continent. And the one who has been to the continent has to be prepared in a very different way from the one who is going for a world tournament, like the Olympics or the Commonwealth or the World Championships. Without such structures, I think we will still be asking our questions, what went wrong? But in actual sense, we know what goes wrong, only that we take long to react on such problems.
All right. Thank you very much, Abdul Nasser, there for your insights. That was boxing writer and journalist Abdul Nasser Semugabi speaking to us live there from Kampala. You're watching Match Point on CGTN. We're taking a short break now, but here's what's still to come on the program. Senegal reaping the benefits of new basketball development centers.